Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Novak. I hope everything is doing fine. In this video, I want to talk about domestic raised fish compared to fish you can buy here in the United States. And someone brought up a question about my fish, my goldfish that came from Thailand, how they got dropsy. But that is very rare for me to ever have a goldfish that came up with dropsy. And all the years I have been keeping fish and did research on them, dropsy was one of the last diseases that I would get with a goldfish. Now we're getting goldfish from Thailand and China, and they seem to be getting dropsy. But I'm going to show you some pictures of some ponds. Since I've kept goldfish for years, literally years. In fact, the goldfish that are in my goldfish aquarium now are like 5 years old, and the newest ones are over a year and a half, 2 years old for the Watkins. But the point I'm trying to make here is overseas goldfish do not acclimate as well as fish that is raised right here in the United States. Big difference. And I'm going to show you some pictures of pond pictures of some very old fish. Like the picture you're looking at here. This is really quite a small pond, only about 800 gallons, and then the top part where the anoxic filter is only 400 gallons. That's where I used to keep all my goldfish. I would get the goldfish, though, from fish farms that were from the United States or from Illinois, where I lived. They had no problems making it. Even in very harsh winter conditions that we have in Illinois, they still had no problems at all wintering outside. It's funny how these new fancy goldfish that they're charging hundreds of dollars for can't really live that long. And if they do, count yourself lucky, because having fish die of dropsy is very rare. So in the next picture, because people have asked me to show some pond pictures, remember this is a very small pond, and some of the fish you are looking at in this picture here are close to 28 inches long. Now, a lot of people would look at this and say, how could you have that many fish in that small of a pond and have them grow using an anoxic filter? And this was always the question people would ask me when they came to my yard and looked at my pond, which was a very small pond compared to other people's ponds. But this goes to show you that the anoxic filter did work. And of course, that was unquestionable, where I would have professional koi keepers and judges come to my house and have to tell people, you can't do this without that filtration system because it just can't be done. It's way too many fish to be that old. And then people would say, well, how old are these fish? And I said, they're like 30 years old. And they just looked at me like, what? Yes, I said, they're some of the oldest koi living in Illinois that we know of. And they're all living in this 800 gallons of water. So everybody was quite shocked over that you could have so many fish and so little water. And I did a water change twice a year, once in spring and once in fall, and that's it. And in the fall, I would clean the anoxic filter by running water through it and taking out all the muck, and then refilling it again. And then I would cover the pond with a plastic tarp, like a Quonset hut, for the wintertime. And I'd leave the water running. And that seemed to do the trick, because even when we had cold weather that was like 27 below zero or 30 below zero, the pond really froze a little bit around the edges, but it basically stayed open. It got hyper cold, and all that means is the water was like 31 degrees or a little colder, yet it wasn't freezing, and the fish did fine. This photograph shows you another pond that uses an anoxic filter, and you're probably looking at it. This was a 2,300 gallon pond with the anoxic filter. Pond and filter is all in one, and it looks like it's pretty crowded. In fact, people used to come into this gentleman's yard and not believe that he was only using an anoxic filter, that he had to be using something else. This is another anoxic filter. Up north, a lot of people during the summertime will buy water hyacinth, and that's what you're looking at here, water hyacinth. And they would add them to their ponds or to their filters. But if you added water hyacinth to your pond, your goldfish and koi would eat up all the roots and they become stunted. But as you can see here, putting it in the filter, then your water hyacinth would be saved from hungry fish. Then, of course, we'll look at another pond. This is the pond that that filter you just saw filtered. And as you can see, the pond is nice, clean, and clear. And the people were very happy to set the filter off to the side next to a fence, and yet it would just through piping go to this pond, and then a pump would just pipe it right back into the filter. But this gave people a little bit of leeway and cost effectiveness by using an anoxic filter. Now the pond you see here is a 12,000 gallon anoxic filter pond. Now in this 12,000 gallon pond, the filter was there where you see the waterfall coming in. That was where the anoxic filter was. He didn't use any other filter except ultraviolet light, which a lot of people use, ultraviolet lights, to keep their ponds nice and clean and clear because you want to see the fish. But this guy here, his name was Zach, and he used to grow out fish for people. Yes, grow out fish for people and get them to a real good size because they couldn't do it in their ponds with their extremely expensive filtration system like Nexus filtration system. They could not grow out their fish as well as Zach could do using an anoxic filter. Kind of funny, isn't it, that people would depend on this. This is some of the fish that he had in that 12,000 gallon pond. Remember, other people had some very, very big ponds too, but this is where he would grow them out. This is some of the fish that he had in his pond. This is at the show, one of the koi shows, that he grew them up in his anoxic filter pond. And Zach was kind of a stickler about the quality of his fish. But then people liked his fish so much that they offered to buy him because they could not grow out fish like he could. The next photograph you see here is one of his fish that I think this won like first place. And this fish was grown out in a anoxic filter. And this is one of his fish. And people would see this and want to buy his fish because everyone thinks that you have to have an extremely expensive filter to grow high quality koi, and that is just not so. Or goldfish for that matter. Like I said, I had goldfish that lived for over 17 years, but they were all bought right here in the United States. In fact, the koi you're looking at here, this champion koi, it was grown up and it was a domestic koi he bought from a fish farm in Iowa. And that's where we used to get our fish from, a koi farm in Iowa. There was a couple of them I'd go to, but that's where they bought their fish from. They're domestic raised koi and goldfish, not coming from Thailand or Japan. The Japanese goldfish also fell into a problem of not living as long, or maybe you'll lose a lot of them. If you bought 12 koi, 50% of them would probably die. They wouldn't acclimate to our water. This is another anoxic filter, but inside a person's garage. So anoxic filters do not need plants. And of course, quite a lot of research by Dr. Franco here in Italy, where he did a lot of testing on the anoxic filter. Now, as you can see, the aquarium that's where he is all has goldfish in it. And of course, those fish are domestically raised in Italy. But Dr. Franco here found out that by using an anoxic filter, that it literally used nitrates and phosphates to help keep his goldfish alive. And in fact, he was so impressed with the technology that I had made and the research I had done and the research he had done, he actually made a club called Filtro Anoxico. And of course, in Italy, that was his club. And Dr. Franco is there on your left with the white sweatshirt on. And this picture was taken in Italy. And he was quite impressed with it after he did all his research. And there's quite a lot of research he did. In fact, he did so much of it that several times it's been written up in koi magazines. And that is from the United Kingdom. So it started becoming more popular. And of course, this was a shirt that he had. I love a anoxic filter. And Dr. Franco was the head of it. But anyhow, I thought I would do this short video to let everybody see that when you buy goldfish or koi and they're domestic raised, you have a better chance at success. Like the koi I showed you were all domestic raised koi and domestic raised goldfish. You have a lot better chance of success than if you buy koi from Japan or China or goldfish from Thailand or China. You have a lesser chance of success. There are goldfish farms, I believe in Georgia, which some people have told me about, that grows goldfish just as nice as you could buy from China or Thailand, but they don't come with all the baggage that those fish come with from being overseas. So I just wanted to show you this, that yes, some very high quality, very expensive fish can be grown up in an anoxic filtration system, which I show you. And if you're not very successful with your goldfish, it could be that they're not domestic goldfish. They are goldfish coming from overseas. A lot of people who are selling goldfish online and stuff are selling goldfish that they got from overseas, and they're selling them for hundreds of dollars, and they may not do as well as you think. At least they didn't do as well for me. Not like the domestic raised goldfish that I bought and lived for 17 years. And that's quite unbelievable. Like I said, my goldfish today, my Rayongans are 5 years old, and my Watkins, I think they're 2 years old, but they were all, they're all from farms here in the United States. They're domestically raised goldfish. They're not from overseas. And you will have a better success rate doing that. So anyhow, this is Dr. Novak. I hope you enjoyed the video. You got a little bit of insight of buy good quality koi and goldfish right here from the United States. A lot of people will say, yeah, but the Japanese koi are better than the domestic koi. Well, a lot of the koi farms, like in Iowa and other states, they're making very nice koi, high quality koi that are winning first place in shows and things like that, and that are costing thousands of dollars. And when I say thousands, it's not unusual to pay $7 to $10 to $15,000 for a koi that was a domestic raised koi. Now I know you can buy koi from Japan for more, but that they're very nice koi, and you can buy some very nice goldfish that are domestic. So until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. But a lot of people think that the anoxic filter doesn't work or it has problems like other filters. Well, this is proof that it does work and it lasts for years. In fact, I just had a guy who retired and he finally took his pond down after over 35 years of being up because he just got too old to take care of it. So he finally, took it down. He just it became too much of him to every year you have to clean the filter, empty it, fill it, and then you have to cover the pond up to protect it from the winter. He finally just got tired of it after 35 years. But his fish were over 35 years old. He really didn't lose any fish. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and happy fish keeping.